welcome to another episode of what is it?
Alphos and Sweet.
Yeah, I rarely intro it, and I can't remember the exact terms, but yeah, we've got a lot to talk about. We've got DLC Ghent, we've got the Taiwan as well, and maybe we'll touch on a few other things that happen in the community. But Ghent was not too long ago, but that's going to be a great thing to talk about. And starting off, if there's anything as well, before we jump into it, is there anything else you want to mention just before we keep going?
No, I mean, I'm bloody exhausted, but yeah, we've had a busy couple of weeks. We've had Ghent, we've had Taiwan, and now we've had the details surrounding LCQs, and the tickets went live just like an hour ago, right?
Yeah. I managed to pick up mine. It is pricey, but I won't sit here and do a big speech about it, at least just yet, when we have other stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we will later.
yeah, because we've all got opinions on it. I'm probably in the middle compared to most who've got pitchforks out. But I still bought it. I'm still going to buy into it. But yeah, to be honest with you, it's really cool going down there, even if you end up not qualifying for anything. Like, the event is really great. But yeah, going into it, let's start about Ghent. So Ghent was a little while ago now, but we both went to it, and you did very well. And I managed to lose a winning in, which is my thing winning in just a day two, which is just my thing I seem to do at the DLCs right now with the new Swiss structure they have. But do you want to walk us through your run at the DLC Ghent first?
Yeah. So I guess sort of the theme going into Ghent is that the context was I crushed the Axiom CCQ, right? And I didn't quite get the qualification, but I 7-0'd day one. I was feeling really confident before Matt. And then I knew, and that was on a heavy Chromicon build. And then I was moving towards a 4 under the sea build, and I was testing with Tiago more about like what to play for dogs. And he was going to play at Ink, and he had a build that he had already worked on. And so I picked up on his build to, I guess, help test it a little bit, but also because he was like building it in a different way to me. And so even though we were both on 4 under the sea, I felt like we were getting a good move into a direction for where the meta needed to be. Dogs was going up, item destruction was going up, and you sort of needed to counter that by maybe playing no Chromicon. And then Ink happens, Sailor wins on a no Chromicon build, and then that leaves us with Ghent the week after, which is where everyone knows Dogs the best deck in the format, but they've actually maybe stopped playing the Chromicon. So what edge you could get in, and they're playing 4 under the sea, right? So the edge you can get in the mirror from just having 4 under the sea is kind of gone. But maybe you can start playing Chromicon again, because people are cutting the item break because Sailor's list didn't have it, and Sailor's a very prominent figure, so that like info spread fast, right? Normally these tournaments take like 2 weeks to adapt to the meta. This was the fastest I've ever seen. The meta completely switched around it. And I expected PS to be the most played, and I expected most people to be on 4 under the sea, no Chromicon. I initially was testing 4 under the sea 2 Chromicon before I talked to Tiago, but I found it to be too bricky, which is really interesting because Zan won the tournament with 4 under the sea 2 Chromicon, but he made the decision that I didn't really consider possible, which was cutting the daisies and upping the lady ones to lower your uninks by about 2, which allowed him to play a more bricky build running 6 of these like very uninkable bricky cards, right? Like when we talk about uninks, like 1, 2, 3 costs, anything we can play more easily, and that we can weave into other like multiple hand types, and isn't going to be sitting in our hand a long time, is almost less uninkable, which is why you see these aggro decks run really high unink counts, because they don't need to ink that high, and they can usually play the unink cards on their curve. Whereas with Under the Sea and Chromicon, they're cards that need to be played at very specific times and have a frequency to stick in your hand for a long time. So I ended up playing 4 Under the Sea 1 Chromicon, which was, where I was at with the list with Tiago, and we were moving to Ursula's over Mowgli's for the mirror. And I think it was really good. I had matches where I had, a game against Red Purple where I wanted to find the Chromicon. I didn't in the entire set. But I also had games where if I didn't have that one Chromicon in the deck, like versus a purple steel list and a red yellow list in the Swiss, but I probably would have lost if I didn't have at least that one Chromicon. So I was glad that I played a hybrid build, but I think I wish I had the 4-4 to play the 4-2 that Zan did and cut the daisy. I think that was a really interesting idea. It definitely weakens your matchup between blue though. But yeah, I was actually feeling really anxious going into the event, feeling really unsure about the list because I felt that I had a great meta position going into Axiom because no one quite realized how good Dogs was yet. But 3 weeks later, 2 weeks later, that completely changes. Everyone's building towards Dogs, building to counter Dogs, putting in like hate for Dogs. We see Isis and Tigers going into Blurple and Yellow Purple, and even Isis and Tigers going into Purple Steel. Pretty much every single deck choice being made was you need to have a plan for Dog. Bar like fumbles on his like Yellow Purple list where he's like, I'll just be everything but Dogs.
Which, as a player, I'd played with a few times, and every so often I just like play Dogs into him. And I'm not really much a Dogs player. I just grab a list online, and it was like, "What is your plan?" Is oh no, Dodge. And he got to day 2,
Dodge.
and then it was
Yeah.
like it slowly unraveled. But I think it was like, yeah, I could probably afford a couple loses to Dogs, and hopefully the rest is just purple matchups.
Yeah, I think the meta read I saw was that you can probably dodge Dogs for day 1 because it's
Yeah.
never going to go above like 15%. We actually saw it go to 18% on the day 2, but that's because all of the international players were playing on the Saturday Swiss, right? Because they had to travel in. So you saw like a really strong field on the Saturday, the day I played, which made my choice of going, I'm not going to play Dogs day 1, probably. I ended up playing 1, but I'm going to see a lot of Dogs day 2 in Top Cut because I know it's the best deck, right? And with that mindset, I ended up playing like 3 Dogs across the tournament, and I teched really hard for Dogs by playing Lady Free Costs. Now, what Lady Free Cost does is it's maybe a bit weaker into Steel, but it lets you have a wider range of hands where you can set up Sing Rate by turn 3, even without Willow. I mean, even with Willow, because you can play the Lady Free for 2 ink, you actually get to save a card to tramp on your turn 4, which means you can hold more Dellas, more Rhinos, or like Lady Fives, any follow up you need post the Under the Sea, or if you miss Under the Sea. So really, like a lot of the times I see a lot of Dogs players doing is that they ink too much too frequently, whereas a lot of Tramp's value is not necessarily in how many cards deep you dig to a certain degree, because you get diminishing returns on that, but how many cards you can keep from that Tramp hand. And you see this a lot when you're trying to hold for like double tramp or those triple tramp high rolls, is you actually lock yourself out of that if you play too many cards to board. I see a lot of people make the mistake of, well, these 1 costs are basically free, right? Tramp math wise, so I'm just going to play the 1 cost, play my tramp, and then not have enough cards to hold afterwards for the possible range of cards you could grab from Tramp 7. And all of this stuff is why Dogs is by far probably the hardest deck to play in the meta. Even if Willow makes the Tramp math harder, I think you have a lot more resource concerns and decision points in those like non-simplistic high roll games. But yeah, so that was the meta read. That was like how I was going into the tournament. And then I ended up going 7-1 day 1, 3-0 day 2. I ID'd at 10-1-1 into Top Cut. I even have a stream match, the feature match against Red Purple. And then I play the Mirror in top 32, and I lose because I miss a 1-drop. And the other game I lost was because I top decked too many uninks, so I couldn't play double Ursula, even though I had double Ursula, and then he had double Under the Sea. So, I mean, even if you tech for the Mirror, like this guy was on 3 Under the Sea, you can just like lose to variance, right? It's still a Mirror. Like Dogs' worst matchup is still Dog. Which, is how I saw the meta, right? If you want to counter Dogs, you play the Dogs deck that beats the other Dogs. And then you beat the other decks just by virtue of being the best deck. But yeah, that's how I got my EU qualification. It was very gratifying. Like, I still mentally hadn't broken the curse of make Top Cut, lose first game of Top Cut, but I was still happy to lock in my second invite, right?
Yeah, no, that's a really awesome run, and that's pretty good. Yeah. And I went to Ghent as well, and I played on the Saturday, which was fun. But it was funny. I had the same thought you did. I was like, I did fine at Axion. I was like, oh, and the players there, like, I thought these are pretty fairly decent. Like some of these players here are won whatever events gone very far into DLCs as well. Like I played Luke Smythe in like round 2 at Axion. And I managed to beat him, and I was like, "Wow! So this Sapphire Steel deck can even beat this guy." I think he ended up getting like top 16 or something at Ghent in the end with Amber Amethyst. So I was like, "Oh, I feel fairly confident." I had like a few other options of decks to try out and test, but I ended up just going, I'm just going to lock in what I'm playing right now because it seems to be working for me. And when you go to a major event, what's interesting is sometimes like the first 3 rounds or first like 2 or 3 rounds of your event can be like quote unquote free, can't they? You could pair
Yeah.
into the mum who's here just playing her like Lilo Stitch deck because her kids wanted to, you can get like some really interesting matchups where someone's like, I love Ruby Steel and I'm always going to play Ruby Steel. Or you can play into some fool like me who's, I love Sapphire Steel and I'm always going to play Sapphire Steel. But I got paired into round one, which has probably been one of my hardest round ones I've ever had at an event. It was one of the rare hunters. It was Long Dao. I didn't actually know the gentleman, but he played the deck well. Yeah. And on top of the
he was
fact
playing
that
Ruby Amber, right?
He was on Ruby Amber, so on top of the fact that he was playing, like, he's a very good player, he's on a team and they do well and they travel and they do stuff. He was playing a deck that could easily, I think, go on and win a CCQ or top cut a DLC. I had to learn the matchup entirely on the spot versus him. And to be honest with you, I was like, oh no, it's one of the... I assumed it was going to be Blurple, to be honest with you, when we first started, because I was like, I swear a lot of the rare hunters play Blurple. And game one, I actually smashed it. I had like ramp into Thunderbolt, into Thunderbolt, into and I was like, I didn't even give them a second to breathe. And I was like, I did not learn a thing what their deck does in that game one, because I just blew it up and I just turned everything sideways. And I was like, I don't have a clue what your deck does, but I'm gonna win. And I was kind of getting a little bit confident because I was like, oh great. But then game two, I'm on the draw and he gets to set up and he was like, oh, this has Raging Storm in it. Oh, this has a Maui Shark in it. I'm like, oh wow, this is actually quite a bit more intriguing than I thought. And I think a lot of the Sapphire players have now learnt that this new Red Scrooge card that you're seeing pop up in all of the Ruby decks. It's a fairly awkward one because you don't really want to ink remove it with a Hades or, as Blurple would use, Into the Unknown or Let It Go, because you kind of unlock them to do bigger plays later on because now they have like 3 extra ink. So like trying to figure out that it basically has to be Thunderbolt or Bust for me to remove it. I don't know how Blurple will do it. Probably run an Iago in or something. But yeah, it was just learning their matchup, and it was like, wow, I lost the next 2 games, whilst learning what the deck actually did. And it was like, I even was trying to say to him, I was like, oh, this is really cool. I just killed your Burst Scrooge and I've put some action songs in your discard for your Shark. And he did not care. Like, he was just really in the zone wanting to win. But I was like, oh, this deck is really cool. And I had to read every card, like Webby's Diary, like, don't know what that does, like what does this card do? Yeah, like I had to read all those.
That's how I reacted when I was looking at Lucas Galpa's deck list at the end of the day. I was like, oh, what does this do? And I had to zoom in and read.
I was like, oh, this is the coolest. I even asked afterwards, like, hey, that was just a really cool deck. Like, what do you win and lose into? And he's like, Blurple and Dog seemed really good matchups. And I think he said Purple Steel was a bit of a trickier one for him. But besides that, it felt like a good, like, call for the top 3 meta choices. This you could predict that Purple Steel, Blurple, and Dogs were going to be the 3 ones. And this deck that Rare Hunters have built seemed to do quite well. So that was pretty awesome. And then we got into, like I say, people who were turned up. Maybe there was someone who's taking it really seriously and they just want to be there and play. So they've just brought their, like, bog standard Blurple. And we went for a few wins. We actually won 5 in a row, which was fantastic, actually, straight after that, yeah. And we lost the last 2. I mean, we had a Purple Steel where it was just, on my channel, if anyone saw it, I interviewed the guy who got top 32 of Sapphire Steel, and during Swiss, he only lost to 1 Purple Steel, and he was like, by the way, he was like 6-1 at this point, but he lost to a Purple Steel when he was going to pack up and go home, because he was like, that was just so horrible. They just top deck Doc into Genie, into present lethal on board, and he's like, one of my cards in my deck can do that. Like, it's so it's so horrible, like, feeling when they can just do that. And it's like, you didn't really have to do much, you just had to play the card you drew off the top. And I was like, yeah, it can be quite demoralizing. So we had a game like that, and to be honest with you, the player was pretty good and he deserved the win. And then my last game, it was Dogs. It was actually the first time I saw Dogs all weekend. And game 3, he misses 1 drop and he's just doing the shaking his head, and it was a lovely German fella, and he was, oh no, this is not going right. And he misses 1, and then he passes to me, and I was like, great. But then I do the Cindy trigger, I draw a Hades, and then I continue to draw 2 more Hades after that. I don't do anything, and then he ends up doing the Dogs thing of just splurting all the cards on the board, and I was like, triple Hades, that is really sucky for me. But it was like one of them days where it was like, a Sapphire Steel got to top 32. There was a gentleman who got the gentleman who got got 33rd as well, was also on Sapphire Steel. He lost his first 2 rounds and then went what does it be, like 10 or 11-0. There was 10.
Yeah,
and
10.
It was 12 rounds. He went 10 rounds in a row just winning, like just a stomp, which is got to be a horrible feeling when you've literally, because this is the reason why you're still playing the game, because you thought, oh, I can make it in, but ending up 33rd is quite rough. But he still gets his Continentals invite, which is great because there were some pass downs going around.
Oh, there's a pass down, nice.
Yeah, so that was good for him. So to be honest with you, overall, for a pet decker like me who just enjoys playing this color combo, I don't feel like it was incorrect to play it. Ali as well was also battling for her winning in her last game, but what's been really nice for Ali is that's like kind of ignited a bit of competitive flair in her again. She sort of, I get it, like post rotation the game has looked very different to what it looked like prior to rotation. Trying to find a way to enjoy the game again and finding a deck that you like actually get fun playing out of or keeps you engaged has been a bit of a tricky thing for some players. So that was just really nice to see. So altogether, Ghent also was just run amazingly. Like I thought it was really good.
I do think it's like it's those moments where like you're at a winning in, or you're super, or you like reach your goal, but then you stumble shortly afterwards.
Yeah.
Like those are the moments that really like drive you for that like competitive fire, that competitive hunger. Like
I think for both of us,
making like when I made Top Gun, and then I was like, this is it. I'm going for the Mickey. I'm going for the win the whole tournament. And then losing that Top Gun game, I'm like, man, I just want to play again. I just want to run it back.
It's when it's not like you've been stomped. Like me and Ali were alive till the last round, and like that sometimes is just what all you want is like I got my money's worth. I mean, I didn't get to play any longer, but it was like it felt at every moment you get that like that competitive buzz that you feel when it's like I could still keep going, I can still keep doing something. And it's like nice.
I'm in it.
Yeah, I'm in this. Like it was the same at the CCQ, and it was like very fortunate that all of my rounds on that day one felt like that. It was like I'm still in this. Like I just have to do this. Which is just what you really pay for, isn't it? When you're a competitive player.
Yeah, it's almost the best way to lose.
Yeah,
yeah. You're in it the whole time. You're playing the game. You're here to compete.
Yeah, it's just keeping that buzz. Like it's a weird way to call it a buzz and stuff. Like some sort of just hook it into my veins. Yeah, but it's like
it is a buzz, bro. It is a buzz. Like I'll say it proudly. I'm addicted to that competitive buzz.
Yeah.
Like I'm addicted to that feeling of we're still in it. We're grinding.
Yeah,
we're fighting.
That's
we're
the
trying
feeling
to be
you
the
pay
best.
for and what you want to keep going for. Is that like on edge? Like oh no, I just need to keep going and all those things are just great. It's you do like as well. The risk is sometimes you'll go there and just get utterly stomped, and you've done like the wrong call or like your deck doesn't work. For anyone out there, like sometimes that makes you want to play more. Sometimes that makes you want to never play again, which I don't play. I've seen many people who very much thought a lot of themselves and they've gone 0-3 and then dropped. But I think even Tiago didn't have a great time in Ghent, did he? Tiago and DKP
he was like both Tiago and DKP were like an X3 drop.
Yeah, which is crazy for like two very decorated players. It was funny because DKP came up to me. We were waiting for our Uber. This was on the Friday because we hadn't played, but he just got knocked out by Kiwi Birds, the aggro Sapphire Steel deck. He was not happy with that. I think the guy triple Aliced him on the play, and he was just like, "What do I do? It's all got ward." And I'm like, "I don't know. I don't know."
That's so funny.
Yeah, it's just a way to lose, but those moments as well were good fun. So yeah, Ghent all together was just great fun.
Right. Yeah. No, I mean, we'll talk about like the non-tournament stuff after. Well, actually, maybe two things I want to add. Firstly, I think I didn't go into enough detail on the Swiss. I do have a funny moment where basically I started out, I went 7-1, right? But how it happened was I started out 4-0. And not only did I start out 4-0, I 2-0'd every single one of those games. So I get to round 5, and then I go 2-1, and I go to my mates outside who I was already like talking about being 4-0 with. And I go up to them like, "Oh, dude, I just lost a game." And they're like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. What did you lose to?" And then another one of the guys was like, "So you won the match?" And I was like, "Yeah, I won the match." I was just pretending to be like really sad and upset about it. But yeah, it's just a funny time. And then the next match I lost, which is how I ended up 5-1 in round 6, was I was basically limit testing. I mean, it was like a play that I thought might work, and I'd never tried it before. And when I tried it, and then I instantly scooped the next turn because I realized how bad it was. And I think, that's the sort of stuff you want to get out and practice, but I do think it's somewhat important to have the flexibility to try new things in a tournament setting if your gut's telling you it might work.
Yeah. I've got one moment to mention as well. Then actually, I had I did the whatever side event thing, like the double up on the Sunday, just for something to do. And my round one opponent, bless him, I felt like he had the most unfortunate weekend of all time. He brought blue yellow, which to be honest with you was asking a lot already there. And he went 1-3 in the main event. I 2-0'd him straight away in the side event in like it didn't take very long. Then he got a bye the next round. And he told me that, like, basically his wife said, like, because they're starting a family and stuff. He's like, this is the last event you can really attend. And I was like, bless him, you're just having a terrible time. Whereas, like, well, like, probably the last one he can really go to and try hard. And I was like, oh, I just felt bad for him. Because also, a buy is fine as a win. You get your tickets, but it's like, no, you want to play the game.
Like, you want to play.
Yeah, it was like, he's come all
event.
this way to play his blue yellow. And I was like, I just bless him. It just felt like the most unfortunate. He was a lovely guy. He was having a great time, but I was like, really unfortunate for you.
Yeah, that's like quite painful to hear because you want people to be there and having fun with it, and like
Yeah.
I guess the sad bit about competitive games is
Someone
where
has to
there's
lose.
there's always going to be a loser,
Yeah.
and if you're losing a lot, that's going to feel bad,
Yeah,
no matter who you are.
Yeah, I think learning to lose as well is quite an important thing for some people because you'll get some real people who throw a bit of a paddy is what we call it.
Bit of a tantrum.
Yeah, a bit of a tantrum.
Bit of a
and
hissy fit.
Yeah, when really in reality you just need to like go outside and eat a sandwich and like just go and eat some junk food or something and like chill out. Like
yeah, I mean I'm the last person to tell you it's just a game because I take this game very seriously, but when you're losing, it is just a game. And even if you care internally really a lot about the result, like I know I do when I lose, not only do you need to learn to like reset and refresh to be able to play the next game, but you also need to like not take it out on other people. It's not their fault,
Yeah.
It's not their fault. Like if you're having a bad day, don't make it someone else's bad.
That is, yeah. Yep. That's a big thing to learn. But right, should we move on to Taiwan? It was...
Yeah, well, let's add on to like a little bit of a non-tournament stuff again. I just want to say, Ghent was a cool city. We went out to get some ribs, and it was all you can eat ribs. And when I had 2 racks of ribs, and I was like, man, I'm so hungry, I could eat more. Because I do the psycho thing of I water fast during these tournaments. Like I don't eat anything during the tournament until the end of the day. So I was
the
like
one competitor that does that yourself.
Yeah. I don't think I'm the only one that does it. I know a couple other people that do. They came out to me about water fasting.
There's a little group of you.
There's a group of us. So yeah, again, not recommended. But I was hungry, right? That's the context. And then the guy stops coming out to give the racks of ribs, and I was like, mate, this is all you can eat ribs. But maybe this is living in the UK has rubbed off on me because I spent the entire time complaining. Not the entire time, but I did complain about there not being any more ribs. But then someone brought up, why don't you just ask the guy to bring out more ribs? And I was like, oh, I can't do that. That would be rude.
Oh, good heavens. Yeah.
Oh, no. It would be rude to ask for service. I would much rather complain about the absence of it.
You're too British
where I'm not
at this
bothering
point.
anyone.
Yeah, you're too British at this point where we won't actually do anything about it. We want to go home and complain about it in the group chat. Like that.
Exactly. I don't want to make it someone else's problem that I'm upset. I just want to be upset. I guess, one really cool thing was, Zan is a close friend, and seeing him win was incredible. It was like an amazing experience. I just saw the social media video yesterday of like us all rushing onto camera, onto set when he'd won, and it was just like really, really touching. And yeah, I just like those moments, like I was sad about not doing well, but I was so happy to see my friend win.
You're top 32.
That's the beautiful.
You're top 32.
Not as well as I wanted. It wasn't the day I did. It wasn't the top cut I'd envisioned.
You envisioned. Would you win the whole thing?
Yeah, exactly.
We went to the zoo on the Monday. That was very nice, actually.
Yeah?
Yeah, we went out to the zoo. They have a giant one.
I did see pictures of it on Instagram.
Yeah, we went to go see a giant polar bear, and it's just that wasn't the polar bear I envisioned. Like it was just sort of sat there a bit quiet, and it was just not doing anything.
You wanted a polar bear in the Arctic.
Yeah, I wanted to come up to me and go,
it.
"Hello, Adam. I'm your friend," and then shake my hand. But do you know what it was funny? It was like €40 to get in, but they had a buffet that you could get in that was €46. How good is that? Yeah, I know. That was Aria. How good is that buffet?
But they better be serving the polar bear for that.
I mean, yeah, you better come out and like hand me my food. Yeah, it was weird.
Better be
It was
farm to table.
Yeah, it was such a farm
Zoo
to
to
table.
table.
I think China would be after you if you try and serve.
Yeah, don't touch the panda.
Yeah.
That's a diplomatic incident.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. No, but it was nice. I don't know. It's that nice thing, isn't it? Where like we had it planned to go with some friends. It was like we're going to do the DLC, and then on the Monday we're going to do this thing as well. So it was like even if you don't win, and maybe there's people you're traveling with, some of them aren't that into the DLC. Like they're going for the vibes. Like, it just brings a whole better experience for her.
Yeah. No, I think that's like the really key thing about these events is like whether you do well, whether you do bad, whether you like win the whole damn thing. Like hang out with your mates after, have a good time, explore the new country, new city you're in, and no matter how the tournament went, your memories will still be positive because you would have had a good time outside of the tournament, right?
Yeah. And it's that thing of like when your family or parents or whoever ask you like, how did it go? And like prior to sort of spending a bit more time in the country, it was, well, from the hotel to the airport to the venue, maybe the country looked all right, but now it's like, oh no, I did these things, and you can actually mention them, which is really nice to do.
Yeah, like I had someone walk up to me that I used to know a few years back at the train station when I got back from Taiwan, and they were like, oh my god, how are you? What have you been up to? Also, how do you afford all these trips? I've been seeing you in a new country like every 2 weeks. But I explained it. They're like, oh, how was Taiwan? I was like, well, I got from the airport to the Airbnb and then stayed at the Airbnb for 2 days and then went to a venue for 2 days. And then on one night we went to the night market and did karaoke. Like there's like a very like maybe for like the 5 days I'm there, I have about 4 hours of being a tourist.
Yeah. Right. Let's talk about Taiwan then. How was your Taiwan?
Let's talk about Taiwan.
That wasn't best of one, was it?
No, it was best of 3 actually. So this is a big upgrade in Hong Kong. So now I can officially say that I was gated by best of 1 in Hong Kong. That's the only reason I did badly because finally it was best of 3 and I did well. Actually, this was quite an opposite experience to Ghent of starting out like 5-0 with only 1 game loss. Because I actually lost the first round. And no, I lost the first round to someone, to Taro, a Japanese player that I beat in Hong Kong during the side event. He's a really nice guy. It was actually a really funny story in Hong Kong because he sat down and he was like, oh, sorry, I don't speak any English. I'm from Japan. And then I responded in Japanese, don't worry, I can speak Japanese. And then we spent the whole game talking in Japanese. It was, I don't get much use out of that language, so it was nice to have it come up. But yeah, I lost to him 1-2. Had some rough game 2 and 3. It was versus Blurple. And then this was the most humiliating part. I've never lost like round 1 of a tournament before. That's not the most humiliating part. The most humiliating part is going to table like 187, and then in the middle of my game 1 against Blue Steel, a judge, a law guide, comes up to me and goes, "Excuse me, you're not allowed to have a non-Disney playmat." For reference, I play on like a Digimon playmat. It's like a sentimental thing. So mid-game, they make me take my playmat and put it in my bag and play on the tablecloth. Mid-game! We're not at a featured match. We're not at a high table. I'm sitting here at like bottom tables, bottom of the barrel tables. And we're like, sorry, mate, can't play on your mat. I've just spent the rest of the weekend playing on a tablecloth. But then I 2-0, 2-0, 2-0, and I submarine from 0-1 to 4-1, like snorkeling under the water. And I have an Amber Steel game where this was the finalist of Singapore, like the runner-up of Singapore DLC, really strong player. I didn't even know that when I was playing it. He made it sound like he was new. He acted as if he was new to the game. He didn't say that, right? He wasn't trying to trick me. But I got the vibe. I was like, oh, this guy's kind of new to the game because he was acting like really chill and like being friendly. And usually when people like, I mean, I do that too, but usually when people are like hardcore competitors, they usually just like lock in and don't chat much, And then when I found out I got beat by, and he played really well. And then when I found out I got beat by like the runner-up of Singapore, I was like, damn, you downplayed how good you are. But yeah, I had some horrible hands, man. I had across like 3 of the games, I had like, I think I want to say I saw like 10 under the seas in my opening hands and like 8 lady 5s in my opening hands. And two Chromicons alongside. I had the brickiest hands, and I somehow won game 1, but then I lost the next 2.
Maybe that's the trick. You've got to be just real chill vibes like he is. Just
Yeah,
ask them
yeah,
how
you gotta
their
be
day
chill.
is.
I think you should be chill vibes. You should be friendly, right? Like you
I know
don't have
some
to
that are a bit
derail the
chatty.
game.
Like players I've played against who most do lock in and just go quiet, but some will like generally have a chat with you when you're playing, which is nice.
Yeah, I like having a bit of a chat.
Bit of a
I
chin
definitely
wag.
like having a bit of a chat, but sometimes, like when I need to lock in, I'll just go silent. You know.
Yeah,
And I really need to focus.
What I found with like some of the top ones is they'll have a chat or like talk, but then they'll know if you're just gonna go quiet, they're not gonna be like, well, that's rude. Well, that's odd. They'll be like, no, I get it. He's in the tank right now. Yeah.
Yeah. But essentially, I end up at 4-2, right? And it's 7 rounds Swiss day 1. You need 5-2 to make day 2. And I play a Dog's Mirror against a lovely guy. We're chatting the whole time. Shout out their team. They're like California people. And we actually had a great time with them in the night market. It's like Ed's friend group.
Yeah, I forgot what that team's
called. You know, like with a red dragon.
Yeah.
I also forgot what the team was. It starts with like an H, but it's got like the red dragon on it.
Yeah.
Really lovely crowd. Really lovely people in there. I know like Josie is in like SLTC, right, as well.
Yeah, I know the whole group. They're lovely.
Yeah, no, really, really lovely people. And then I ended up winning, but it was a super, super tight game. He was playing like Snowfall and Dogs, and I was like, what the hell? I'm playing 4 under the seas. I wipe his board, and then because I have a reduction on the Snowfall onto his Tramp 7, and then I have a 2-turn clock, and then he slams a Mickey Champion, and I try to under the sea it, and then he's like, yeah, it's 3x because of Snowfall. I'm like, no. And I do use the take back rule because it's 1 action deep. You know, I used to not use that rule. Now I use it because I know it's in, and I always let other people use it. And so it didn't actually like change the clock or anything, but you know, I could save the under the sea in my hand. But the cool part about this play was because I had 0 way to get rid of his Mickey Champion, and it represented Stingray on its own. And I hadn't been able to play any discard cards on my curve. If he had an under the sea post-tramp, I would just lose on the spot. But he didn't have it, and then I win the game. And super, super close. And then day 2, I have to win 2 games to make top cut. I 2-0 Amber Steel songs. I get my revenge. I learned from my match the previous day, and I played the matchup slightly differently. And then I played against Long Dao, the guy you played in round 1. And I can maybe see how red-yellow would be pretty like okay into dogs. Great into dogs if they're not running Chromicon. Problem was I was running Chromicon.
I'd assume. I assume a lot of people right now are saying their deck is good into dogs. Are just like, but not the Chromicon builds. Like even the Steel Song. Like, I don't know what you think your opinion is on the Amber Steel mid range one. I quite like that deck. I've been playing. They
need to run Item Break, and that's what the Singapore guy did. He ran Item Break, and that's how I lost my game 3 to him because of a Pluto.
Yeah, because if you watch what's his name, like Diego playing, like he Mowgli's checks for Chromicon because like I know I lose. And then the guy just top decks Chromicon, plays it, and then it's an abysmal game to watch. But I think most go for the Mowgli to get rid of it, don't they? But
but when I'm playing into a Mowgli deck, I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna keep, of course.
Right. So I'm looking for the tramp, and I'm looking to find off tramp. And I don't think AS can really do this. I don't think they have the resources to hold a Mowgli with how many uninkables they have and how tight their curves are. But if you could hold a Mowgli, you'd want to play it after the Tramp 7 turn, right? Or ideally, you play 1 before the Tramp 7 turn and then 1 after. But then it's just like, that's a lot of Mowgli to play, right?
Their lists were running like 2 or 3 as well, some of them are. Like, what?
I just think it's not that great into dogs. Like, none of us had any issues into AS. The only issue I had was the game where I like mega bricked all 3 hands. And I still won 1 game. But and then, I'm playing into Long Dao, right? I get the Chromicon. He's on Ruby Amber. I kind of know how the list works because I talked to Lucas about it at the Ghent event and I'd seen his list. But honestly, it didn't matter because I just find Chromicon game 1 and I win off like the tempo of that and like shifting Lady 5 to get resources back. And then game 2, oh my god, it was kind of disgusting. I high rolled him harder than I've ever high rolled anyone in any game, sport, whatever you want to call it. I got the luckiest I've ever gotten in my life. I do a standard curve to set up Stingray, and then I go tramp for 1, into tramp for 1, into tramp for 0, into hold, Chromacon. Next turn, tramp for 0, play Chromacon quest. Quadruple tramp plus Chromacon.
I remember him being a very animated gentleman. Was he? Was he quite annoyed at that?
He was incredibly upset.
Yeah.
We did not really talk after that.
Yeah, that's fair.
Which, you know, like, he's a friend of a friend, so it sucks to have to play against each other. But, you know, I'd locked in for Top Cut, and I was happy with that. And then going into Top Cut, we all get, like, sat down. There was a little break, but we got, like, sat down with, like, these little, like, numbers, which you might have seen on Twitter. Me and Justice do the pause up meme.
Which is, everyone who doesn't play dogs loves that. You know,
everyone who doesn't play dogs loves that. Yeah. It's like maybe vaguely furry influenced.
It's what it feels like. Yeah.
Or just like Zootopia influenced. And, you know, it's like, you know, you look at each other, you're like, hey, fellow dogs player, pause up. And you can high five. Yeah. Tiago and Zan were having none of it. We tried to get them to do it, but they refused to pause up, which I found quite offensive, to be honest.
There's already a rift in the pause up community.
I was trying to take a photo of Zan. I was like, come on, Zan, pause up. And he was like, no, man, just take a normal photo of me. And I was like, oh, you're no fun. Loosen up a little. You know, we're only playing Top Cut here for the qualification, because the difference with Taiwan is Top 32 doesn't qualify. It's a smaller event, right? You need to win the first match of Top Cut in order to qualify, kind of reminiscent of Season 1, where you had to win 2 matches in Top Cut to make Top 16 to qualify. So that's a really shitty feeling, right? If you make Top Cut, a really bad feeling. I'm going to censor myself there. A really bad feeling if you make Top Cut, but you don't win anything, right? You get a Simba, but you know, that's whatever. But I get queued into Yellow Purple, and his list has 0 Mowglis. So I just play Chromacon in all 3 games. I lose game 1 at 19 Law, and then I win the next 2 games. We go to time in Top Cut. 70 minutes go to time, and then I win on like turn 2 of time. Because like when you have Chromacon up, there's so many like decision points. But like, I mean, I knew my Chromacon decision points pretty well, but some of the resource decision points, because he's trying to race me because he knows time's coming, and he knows that if we don't finish, then he needs to get Law out. I think that ended up being his mistake, though. He started trying to race Law too early, and then I set up a faster clock quicker, and then I win the game off that. And what's crazy is this guy, he pointed out to me, because he was like, oh, where are you from? I was like, oh, I'm from New Zealand, but I live in the UK. And then he realized we played against each other at the Enchanted Tour in Poland. He was the Amber Steel Songs player that milled me for our Top Cut winning it. Do you remember that?
I don't remember that exact scenario, but
I was on Blue Steel, and I remember it because we had like 20 people watching our game. It's the winning in for Top Cut, and I get milled, and the crowd goes wild, erupting, like, whoa, he just milled a guy. And yeah, you know, I got my revenge. And I'm in, I qualify. I'm in top 16. I have to play against Tiago, who we've been testing together. We're on practically the same list, but I'm on 4 Under the Sea, and he's on 3 Ladies, and I'm on Shift Ramp. Honestly, I think maybe my mental was like not doing the best. I was having some bad sleep and pretty exhausted, and I was really nervous playing the Top Cut because for a long time I've had this whole thing of I make Top Cut and then I lose. I make Top Cut and then I lose. And I felt like there was a mental block for me having a deep run. And then I have to play against a friend who I respect a lot and I know is a really strong player. And even though I have 4 Under the Sea and he has 3, he's on the play against me, so he definitely has the advantage. And then I think I made like 3 or 4 mistakes in game 1, which is probably more misplays than I've made in that entire tournament that I'm conscious of. I think I got a bit disarmed by the nerves and having to play against my friend who I know is a really strong player. And then game 2, honestly, there wasn't anything I could do. I just lost. And then Tiago moves on. I was like, well, at least I got the invite, right? And I got to win 1 game in Top Cut. But that's something I have to work on. I think I have had a mental block playing in Top Cut where I'm not nervous at all during Swiss or when I'm X and 2 and I'm like, on a winning in, none of that. It's just once I get to Top Cut, having that like hour break before you get to play again, I find is really hard to like refocus. And because my top 32 game went to time, I found it really hard to refocus because I had to go straight into top 16. But yeah, that was the tournament itself. I've just been yapping and Harlan's been listening, so if you have anything to say, let me know.
I've been listening intently. Yeah, no, I got all that. I mean, to be honest with you, you ran me through your Taiwan experiences already, but it sounds pretty
But
good.
pretend you haven't heard for the sake of a
I
podcast.
mean, the interesting thing I want to ask is like they say like most regions have their own metas. Like like what is it like? America prefers certain decks, whereas Europe. Did you find that Taiwan actually like prefers certain like they were playing other decks over?
Absolutely, absolutely. There was more Blurple than there should have been, probably considering the
Hmm.
meta developments, because they really like Blurple. There was way more Green Blue because they really like Green Blue, and they really like Ed as a player, and they're following his lists. Um, and they really like Steel Song. The Hong Kong players specifically is what I was told. The Hong Kong and the Singaporean players really like Steel Song, and that's why I was expecting more of it, which I was told by a Hong Kong friend. I mean, it was true. There was way more Steel Song
Hmm.
at this event because the fact that they used to like free rotation Steel Song, and there was finally a Steel Song list to play in core that was pretty good into dogs. I think it was very reasonable to expect that a lot of more people would play Steel Song because it was a favorite in the region and it was seen as pretty well meta positioned, right?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's pretty cool. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's a good recap on our DLC experiences. I think probably the only other things to mention right now is we're going on to Continentals, aren't we?
And
Not
on the note of Continentals, because I got 2 invites these past 2 weeks, I'm now one of only 3 players in the, just to toot my own horn, 3 players in the world that are triple qualified.
sell
I'm
the
qualified for
Metafy.
North
Sell it right now.
America. Sell it. I'm
Sell
selling it
that
right now,
Metafy.
bro. Selling it right now. I'm qualified to North America Continentals, European Continentals, and Asian Continentals. Only 3 people in the world to do it. The other 2 being Tiago and Zan. And I just want to say, I finally feel like I'm in a position where I can teach any deck, I can teach any player of any skill level, and I can help you become better. So if you want to learn from Mr. Triple Qualified, then hit up Metafy. I'll link it down below. I'm gonna do coaching, and I'm probably gonna release a free guide on dogs and maybe some other stuff. But for now, that's what we're starting with. Uh, this game has essentially become my job, and I'm just looking to build some income outside of earning promos. Just to be frank with you guys, so it's not cheap, but it's not the most expensive in the world either, and I will give you good value. So if you're someone, what did we say last time? If you're someone with a lot of money but not a lot of time, hit me up.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, he's a pretty sound bloke, and I'd go with it. If you need to prep for something like the last chance qualifiers, which I went to last season, and I ended up being probably like one of the most magical moments for me. Just all round was like pure joy for a competitive player. This time around, I think the biggest question is on it. I think we should touch on it because it seems everyone who has a mouth in Lorcana right now has decided to talk about it. And it's on Twitter and everything. And it's just the price of the event has gone up and the prize pool's gone down. I think for myself, I'm not too worried about that. To be honest with you, the last chance qualifiers I thought last time were too glorified. Like you got a lot for what it is. It's just like a last chance, get into the event. If not, sit around and watch the event. If it's Disney Lorcana, then go to the what they call the parks and stuff. So I thought we got quite a lot. They were quite generous with it. And the price point wasn't that bad. It was 5 rounds of Swiss. It's 6 round this time. But for €110 to
Not
get
Swiss, single elimination.
single elimination, whatever, yeah, single elimination, which was
That is a big difference, to be fair, because the amount of games you get to play directly ties with what winning streak you are.
yeah, and it feels a bit different this time around, I guess, because the price point's gone up and the price point was down. I think before there was a lot of people who could maybe get like 3 wins, and they were still happy with it because they got like a ton of promo cards, didn't they? This time around,
I'll put it this way. The moment I got top 4, right, 3 wins, in the LCQ AM pod, I had paid for my trip entirely. Yeah. The moment I got 3 wins in top 4 again in the second pod, I had made a good chunk of change on the trip. So yeah, very generous last time, and yeah, carry on.
Yeah, it was very generous, I think. And of course, with Lorcana, I feel like we're a little bit spoiled sometimes with stuff. This time round, it's just a flat price. Like you're given some tickets, a promo, the new promo standout, a goodie bag, whatever that entails, and then you get entry to the event. I feel like that's all fine. It's just that in the sort of spirit of the game right now, it felt like it's kind of felt that we're just everything's getting shrunk, everything's getting taken away from us. And of course, for yourself, who plays mainly around the world and gets to travel and do all those fun, luxurious things, even that, it feels like you've had to like if you had more DLCs here, you would just make more DLCs here than having to travel outwards. Whereas even here, you know, all the way down to your local level, where hey, even the stickers, man, like they're taking away all the stickers, you know, the pins.
Yeah.
The store champs is getting one less mat. DLCs, there's only like 3 in Europe, and one of them's Infinity that probably people aren't even going to because they don't like it, which is fair enough. That's their choice. So they've only really got 2 DLCs to attend. And now the LCQ boards, the last chance thing, the last like frontier is also weirdly more money and you get less in it. And I think that was the breaking point for a lot of people, and that's why they've gone out there. And I've been checking the tickets to see if they're on sale. There's still some on sale right now, so it looks like people are choosing to vote a bit with their wallets and not going to the event, which is, you know, just the way it's going to be. And yeah, I just feel like maybe we were a bit too spoiled in the first one. There were definitely some things like the pricing was very gracious in the last chance qualifier, but then there was things like, no, I felt like the amount of DLCs we got was probably a good amount. We probably should have kept that number or maybe tried to grow on it.
I don't think we're too spoiled, though, because at the end of the day, like, these promos are a non-cost, right?
They don't cost
printing
much
them anyway. Yeah. They're printing them anyway for the side event, so they actually are kind of a non-cost. They're printing them anyway for the side event, and it's just, it feels like they keep stripping prizing allocation away from the main events and from the side events, and they do this at the CCQs too. They strip away prizing from the main event in order to incentivize you to purchase side event tickets, which I think is the part that really feels bad about it, because we had good things, and the good things are being taken away to make us spend more money on side events.
Yeah, and it got to a point as well. I mean, we mentioned about the CCQ. Why not just give them more promo cards, like top 16? Just give me a stack of some promo card, like anything really at this point that's got some sort of monetary, just something to tell me that I did well at the event. Of course, you get the box, but even got to the point where if you went to the top 16, the amount of tickets that you would have got from just doing well in the Swiss wasn't far off it. So why not give me those?
There's like 6 packs difference between top 16 and not top cut.
Yeah, so why not just give me the tickets as well as the? You know, it just felt a bit like being just not getting enough.
Stingy.
It felt a bit stingy, and I don't know. We can keep moaning about this and stuff like that, but I do play other games. I go to other regional events, and like they just throw promo cards at you. Like, you know, you walk through the door and they're like, hey, have this unique Chopper promo card from One Piece. I'm like, great, that's going in the binder.
Awesome.
Awesome. And it's like, oh, if you win 2 games, I'm going to give you another one. Wow, really? But with Lorcana, it just feels like, why are we... it must be for the side events to try and get you to do more side events. It's otherwise it's just very confusing why they don't just throw them in. Which, to be honest with you, is weird though, because majority of players would... I'm not saying this to be rude. I think in a mathematical sense, you'd still work out of a lot of players who didn't do that well in the main event, so they're going to have to go to the side event and get the tickets there and do the side events anyway. So why not just give the people who did well in the main event, who didn't have time to do the side events because they're doing well, just some tickets or some prize, what are they called? Sorry, some promo cards and things like that.
I think the real pain point is going to be like, it matters marginally less to people like me, right? Because all the stuff I'm getting is in Top Cut. All the stuff I'm not even getting an LCQ ticket right this time because I'm qualified to both of those events. However, if you are playing the LCQ like I did last year, if you make it all the way to the end and you get nothing, absolutely nothing, right? Whereas last year we got something, and you get nothing, and you've worked X times harder. You've made it to the top 10%, top 5%, but because you didn't make it all the way, you've lost, and you've got nothing to show for your journey compared to someone who lost the first game and dropped out. Then being like, what do I do with my day? Oh, I can spend more money on side events, just kind of sucks, right? It's like, I could have got at least something. It doesn't have to be big, but at least something to show I competed in the LCQ and I got this far, right?
Yeah.
Like something to give you a sense of reward and progression rather than either you get the invite or you don't. That's the exact reason CCQs kind of suck. The exact reason I'm so glad I don't have to play them anymore. Because making it that far and essentially getting nothing for paying accommodation, going your way out there, like obviously like half the fun is seeing your friends and being in a new place. But the other half of the fun is the competition and trying to grind for rewards. And if everything's so top-loaded towards you get the invite or you get nothing, then just by the maths, less people are enjoying that half of the experience. Whereas if you have scaling pricing throughout like the placements, then everyone gets something to make it feel like their journey was worth it, right? You know, everyone gets that magic experience of, well, I didn't make it all the way, but at least I got these cool Baymax promo cards or cool Cuzco promo cards like we had last year, right? But without that, if you finish the event and you got nothing and your only options left are spend money on more side events or spend money on going to the parks, it feels like you're being a little bit extracted when they've raised the price compared to last year but taken stuff away. But it's sort of like an ongoing theme with everything this year, where it feels like everything's getting more expensive and you're getting less out of it. And it's still by far one of the most amazing experiences I've had in my life of like playing these card games, right? But directly comparing it to season one, especially for people who aren't in a privileged position like I am of being able to play outside of Europe, I think it's just a real shame because the game has great momentum, and I don't think when you have good momentum, you want to be cutting corners, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. The last chance qualifiers, like, I'm happy to admit they're just like, hey, it's the last chance. You know what you're getting in for. But of course, I would maybe like a promo card. You've got about 100 of them behind you, and if not, I have to play a side event to get one. Like, could I just have one? I've won 3 out of my rounds. Like, it'd be nice. But I think it really hits home with the CCQs because it's like, it'd be nice to feel like top cutting one of them just felt like important on some point because it is fairly important. You did top cut a fairly
and it's really hard to do. It is very hard to do.
You top cut at a fairly big event that has hundreds of players who are all fighting for this. They're going as try hard as they can, and you don't even get anything. You don't get like a stamped whatever card. It would just be nice to tell yourself that, hey, you did all right, mate. A bit of a pat on the back, and you didn't. Of course, you didn't get the one spot that only one player can get out of this entire event, which is the Continentals invite. But you did all right, fella. Like, you did fine. You got to top 8, top 16. That's great. But that'd be my one criticism that they really should do, especially when. Of course, I say I play One Piece. I do talk about that quite a bit as well. They throw out stamped cards and promo cards like it's no man's business. I came second at a treasure cup the other day. Like I said, I don't play too much of this. I got 3 winner packs, and they all had random different promo cards in. This wasn't even on top of the winner card that I could have got, and all of these cards as well worth like hundreds of. It's just great. Why not?
That's actually a really cool thing Bandai does. I remember that from Digimon. Like,
winner packs are great.
They make local events feel more important and scale prizes like throughout.
And then when you go to a regional, they carry on the exact same thing. You get winner pack promo, promo packs for finishing top 128, top 64, top cut, and then goes onwards. But I really did like the Let It Go being this like quite out of reach top 128. I did like that. I know the Simba's supposed to replicate it, isn't it? But
it's not really the same. I think
it's not.
Because,
is it?
Again,
no.
It's you've halved the amount of people that are able to get it. And you've taken away a whole tier of people who can get it. I think, but the biggest thing is, I don't understand why the Mulan got moved from top 128 to this 3 wins, 5 wins thing. Because yes, more people are getting the card, but the only reason they did that is so that they could also put it in the side events, and it just felt like it devalued the card as a whole. When I think it's a really cool card. I think it's cool art, and if it was a top 128 prize, it would hold value. The Simba would hold better value. The Elsa would hold better value. Like, the fact that it's just being, like, you get it for winning in a few games of a main event, but then you can just get more from the side events. It just follows, like, this pattern of, like, take away from what we had and then push it onto side event sales.
Yeah, if you didn't win it on the day, you could pay the entry to the Infinity event, and it was the first prizing. And I remember it was just for entry. I remember in Bologna when they sat us all down for the Infinity side event, the big one. They were like, right, who just wants their Mulan and wants to get up? Because basically they were like, pick up your prize tickets, pick up your Mulan and leave, because we want to make sure there isn't a lot of like buys and no one playing. Because if you want to go, we want to pair up everyone else. Basically, we want to make sure people can play the game. And it was just like, this is so stupid for the card that should feel like you've really. Let It Go was like, I think for a lot of players, it was, like you said, for yourself, it was decent value. Like it usually paid back for a ticket or whatever. But for a lot of others, it did feel like a lot to them, I think. It was like, oh, I just missed it, but I'm still validated that I've done very well at this event, but I've just missed out on the bigger top cut. So yeah, the Mulan doesn't feel like that. It's like the 5 wins was a bit harder than the 3 wins, but it was still not like as validating. It was strange.
I mean, like, so top 128 is still only 5% of the field. But it did extend to the same record, and I think it made it feel so much more reachable for people who didn't top cut and didn't day 2 to get something, right? Whereas right now, the experience kind of sucks, because if you can day 2 and still get nothing, you could day 2 on a good record at 7-1 and still get nothing. And I just would like if the prizes extended a bit further down so that everyone at every level of competitiveness can win something one day, or and like be proud of that achievement. Even because ignoring people like me, where I'm trying to go deep, I'm trying to make deep runs, like whatever, I don't matter. I'm a very small percentage of the player base. The larger percent of the player base, I think it's good to have those scaling prizings that people can work towards it. When someone gets their first Let It Go or misses out by 1 win, they get that competitive drive to be like, I want to get the next tier next time, or I want to get the Let It Go next time.
Yeah.
And I think the more people that can get that experience, the better. Like, get 3 wins, get X card, get 5 wins, get X card. On its own would probably be fine. The fact that we're just throwing it away for free in the side event really devalues that experience.
You can get that
people,
well.
like, literally people joke about like, oh, I had such a bad day. I missed top day 2. I went 5-3. And then they joke. They were like, well, at least I got a Mulan. Yeah. Like it's said sarcastically because the value of the achievement has been diminished. And like what you got for it.
It's weird to give that out at the side events. And no, I agree. And I think we're gonna keep going in circles about talking about prizes, because we can do this forever. The only other thing that I'd like to add on top is I think Lorcana should always be learning from what is going well in other card games as well as here. And the thing that seems to be going really well in Riftbound, which is a game that actually surprisingly isn't, everyone seems to complain about it, but the thing that did look good is the unique cards you can get for being the best player of the leader card. Like, I think if you're the best, I think Spessy got like the best Teemo at the event.
Best Teemo.
Which is awesome. And I think you easily do that of like color pairings, like the best Ruby. I would be gunning, me and my Sapphire Steel boys, and lads and ladies. We would be we wouldn't even care that we wouldn't even know that there was a main event on. We would not care about anything else. We would all just be like, we want this card. And I think that's really cool because, again, like,
so cool.
We always joke about Ruby Steel being this very bad, like, color pairing that never does anything. But imagine if the Ruby Steel player now actually has something that's obtainable, which is
And if it's obtainable, imagine you have these 20 Ruby Steel players in the entire tournament who have all perfected their Ruby Steel list to try and be the best Ruby Steel into the current, like, majority meta. And they're all chatting between rounds like, oh man, I'm 2-0. This other Ruby Studio guy is also 2-0. And even if they're all X and free and out of day 2, they're still competing with each other for the best of card. It's like its own mini tournament within a tournament. And I think that's just such a cool idea to, again, like add on to that feeling of, I didn't win the whole thing, or I didn't make top cut, but I achieved my goal.
That's something that Riftbound has done that it doesn't seem to be done in other card games, and it does so well. And imagine that, like the 20 Ruby Steel players, and they're all 0-7 by round 8, and they're like, "Come on, one of us has to win.
Come on, one win, and then one of us gets the best of card."
They're all just playing it out to get the win, so they can get Or that would just be awesome, And it's just another thing because it has felt for a while. Lorcana's been shrinking in the sense of we've got less events and like prizing is being just like something like that is like, oh, it's a brand new thing you can do at these events is try and go for this. just keep growing it. I'm pretty sure it'd be very easy to get like, just pick one of the Duel Link cards, do an alt art for it, and then say this is the prize card for it. It's pretty simple, like in my opinion.
Pretty simple.
Yeah, it would just
and
be
you
great.
only need to do that once a season.
And once a season, yeah, it just
Yeah.
be. I mean, you've already done a Duel Link. Mulan was a Duel Link. Like, just give that to Ruby Steel. Yeah, there you go. Demote the Mulan to be the Ruby Steel unique one-off card. It'd just be awesome. But then again, like I say, we can go in circles complaining about stuff like this forever because we love the game too much. I think is the main reason why we love it. That's why we sit here and record a podcast on Saturday night. It's just having some fun.
When instead I could be on my couch watching TV, recovering my sore throat.
We could be doing anything else with our time, yeah. But I think we should end it there because I noticed we've
I want to add one story.
Yeah.
Just one story because I forgot to talk about it with Taiwan. We moved on very quickly. I just want to say, I need you all to envision what a beautiful time it was after the tournament when Ed won. Again, having a friend won is sick because Josie, who we talked about earlier, took all of us to the night market. And, there's a really funny moment where me, Tiago, and Justice didn't have cash in order to buy food at the night market. And Josie just hands us like Taiwanese 1K dollar bills, and she's like, "You go, kids. Go get some food. Go get yourself something nice." And then we're all having fun, and then we go to karaoke. And for everyone who is aware of these Lorcana pro players and celebrities, I need you to just close your eyes and envision how amazing it is to see Frank Carsten, DKP, and Tiago in the same room singing Disney karaoke songs. It was honestly by far the best non-tournament experience I've had ever. It was such a great time. There is a video that shall never be released of me and Tiago singing Under the Sea.
They always like karaoke.
It was a great time.
I remember we went
I always try and convince people to go to karaoke, but I finally convinced him this time.
All right. Awesome.
Yeah,
I think we should wrap up there because we're over the hour mark.
Yeah, let's wrap it up. I was impressed we kept it about an hour, considering how much we had to talk about. Which is why I'm trying to cram stuff in at the end because I forgot to talk about it earlier.
Analytics are going mad. Guys. People won't watch it. They'll go, an hour? I can't watch that. Oh, 58 minutes.
I usually like my 58 minutes.
58 minutes. Oh, I've got 58 minutes to spare, but an hour, I'll never do that.
Yeah. An hour, that's a movie. That's a feature-length film.
That's a whole movie.
I'm not watching that.
58 minutes, though. Oh, I could knock that out right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Just one before bed.
We'll just do a 58 minute. But an hour? Crikey. Yeah. Right. Thank you, everyone, for watching.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.